Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, the SEC's top 10 QBs for 2025. And can the SEC rebound? Now, I had to take a couple days off. I was busy at work, and I've been working towards being able to spend more time on YouTube. So the last couple of days, I've been doing a lot of effort towards that. So I should be able to do more YouTube stuff. So anyway, sorry I couldn't be here the last couple of days, but I was just too tied up. Anyway, let's get into this. The SEC had a bad year. There's just no other way to put it. We're used to being on top. It's extremely rare for us to get pushed around at all, period, especially by the Big Ten. But Big Ten looked like they were better, on top at least, than the SEC.
That's good. We did it.
We did it. We did it. You don't have to worry about nothing no more.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I don't think the SEC fans are used to this at all. I know I'm not. I can't remember last time we were, one at number one. So these guys we're going to talk about are going to have a lot to do with whether or not we can regain our crown or if we're going to be sitting there in second. Now, this is an article that goes over the top 10 quarterbacks heading into 2025. I always enjoy these articles. They're fun to read. Now, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on each and every one of these quarterbacks. They've got them listed from 10 to 1. I disagree slightly with some of this. Obviously, where he's got Nico, I'm not happy. But you got to start somewhere when you start ranking quarterbacks for 9 months from now or 8.5 months from now. See, we're already doing the countdown. We're not even done with the championship. He starts off with Taylor Green out of Arkansas. Now, this guy, I'll tell you what, he is slick. He is extremely hard to tackle. He had a great game against us until he got hurt at the end, and they still wound up winning that game. That was the one real disappointing loss we had in the regular season that we should have won, but you're going to slip up every now and again. He was a big part of that. He throws the ball sometimes beautifully. Now, he's not the greatest thrower of the ball, but man, can that guy take off and run. They've got him top 10, number 10. I'm okay with that. All right, now here's Gunnar Stockton. They got him at 9. It's almost impossible to rank this guy. He's played 1.5 ball games, and it was against some really top-tier talent. He's a good running quarterback. He's tough as nails. He got hit in that one game. Good grief. I don't know how he got up from it. And he's got a really good arm, it appears. And I can tell you right now, they're not missing Carson Beck. I think they were fine with him leaving. He's gone to Miami for like $4 million, plus his girlfriend's down there. And again, I think Kirby Smart told him, you don't have the starting job, you can fight for it. And I have reason to believe that.
But there are some games that Kirby Smart will not play. And I'm just here to guarantee you that one of the games Kirby Smart will not play is, I guarantee you will be the starter at your position. That is not something you're ever going to get Kirby Smart to say. Nope. And so now all of a sudden, a guy named Gunnar Stockton's got his foot in the door, Clint, and there's a little bit of juice there. And so if you come back to Georgia, Kirby ain't going to give no starting jobs away, okay? Kirby was on record as saying Stetson Bennett, the reigning national champion quarterback from the previous year, would have to compete for his job if he came back to school. And that was before he decided to come back to school. Yep. Kirby ain't giving away starting jobs. And so Carson Beck, again, no shade, took in all the information and made a decision. That decision was to go play football at the University of Miami. We're going to talk.
The Locked On guys, that's what they think. And they're very connected. So let's move on to number 8. Here's another guy that we've seen very little out of. I mean, he basically had one series, and I believe that was against Georgia, and he's a left-handed dude. And I tell you what he kind of looked like during that one series. I watched it live. He looked a little bit like a Hendon Hooker, but left-handed. So we don't know whether or not he's going to be really good or not. He's at Ole Miss. He's going to be the starting quarterback, most likely. Lane Kiffin's a quarterback whisperer, so he must be good. Otherwise, Lane wouldn't have him as starter. And he beat out that Walker Howard guy that came in that was a big-time recruit. So we shall see. He may be getting some of that ranking because Lane picked him. Marcel Reed of Texas A&M, another guy that can flat get it. He's a very mobile quarterback. I like that about him. The season started out pretty good. I mean, they were in the top 10 the whole most of the year, but then failed at the end. But I like Marcel Reed. I could see him, number 7, that's probably fair. All right, now here's a position I don't like. I don't like Nico at number 6. Don't think he's getting a whole lot of due right now. He made it to the playoff. They went 10-2 in the regular season. He threw 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's almost a 4-to-1 ratio, which for a redshirt freshman, that's really good. He's accurate. He needs to work on his deep ball a little bit, but I think he'll get that figured out. We are bad to compare everybody to Hendon Hooker. Hendon was a 4-year senior and a 5th-year senior. He might have been an 8th-year senior by the end of this thing, between the virus and Virginia Tech and injuries and everything else. And it's tough because Hendon was probably top 3 best quarterbacks we've ever had at Tennessee. He threw for 30 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and then like 29-2. It was crazy and a great running quarterback. Nico has starting to show that he can run. I don't think he was allowed to run much at first because he is 6'6". He's only like 215 pounds. Playing in the SEC, you don't want your starting quarterback running in that situation. And our backup was a preferred walk-on guy that came from UCF in Gaston Moore. So we were a little bit limited there, so I think they were a little bit careful with him. You saw in the Ohio State game, he's a dog, and he can run and run really well. He's elusive. I think you're going to see a much better quarterback this year, even though he didn't play poorly last year at all. I don't like him at 6, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this list here at the end as far as where I'm going to rank it. But, it's also not fair that all the defense is set up like an umbrella. They did the 3-3-5. So, of course, what does that do? That opens up the running game. Well, we had Dylan Sampson, the SEC Player of the Year, basically, as a running back, who ran for 1,500 yards and 20-some-odd touchdowns. So when they set up that way, which, again, I call it the umbrella defense, where they take 5 guys over the top in an umbrella and then put 3 linemen and 3 linebackers, it's really hard to throw for a lot of yards. You can throw underneath some, but they're basically begging you to run. So Tennessee just ran really well and won a bunch of ball games. And, of course, we had a good defense.
Logical.
So his numbers were down a little bit because of that. That's a lot to do with the defense saying, hey, we're fine with you running. Here you can run all you want, but we're going to make it really hard to pass. All right, number 5, Diego Pavia. As you know, one of my absolute favorite players out there is Diego. He's going to get an extra year, it appears.
7 years of college down the drain.
At Vanderbilt, he has taken Vanderbilt, put him on his shoulders, took him to a bowl game. They beat Kentucky, Auburn, and Alabama.
My Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's right. Alabama state champions, Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Never thought I'd ever see that. Ever.
That's impossible.
So I'm fine with him at number 5. Here's one I don't know what you do with. Arch Manning. He's played so little, we have absolutely no idea. He's making a lot of money. He can run. We know he can run. I have no idea where to rank him. So they've got him at 4. Who knows? Obviously, Lenoris Sellers at number 3. Again, at the end of this, I'm going to kind of re-rank this. Lenoris is a guy that has really come on. He's an incredible runner and scrambler. He's got to be the best in the country at this point, especially with Jalen Milroe heading to the NFL, and that helps a ton. Now, his throwing ability is still suspect. He can make some of the prettiest throws you ever saw, and then he can make some of the absolute worst. Has to do with fundamentals and has to do with the fact he's a redshirt freshman last year and all that kind of stuff. So he just needs time to develop, but it's 2024. You got to put the big guys out there. If you don't, they'll just transfer out. So if you get a really great athlete like him, you got to suffer through, 5-6 games like they did. Otherwise, he'll leave. And we're having to do the same thing with Nico. In the old days, you'd start a quarterback as a junior. Well, now you got to start him as a redshirt freshman because you got too much money tied up into him. And Lenoris went ahead and got his Benjamins. He's making something like $2.7 million this year, which he's worth it. I think given what everybody else is making, he's worth it. And also realize they're doing revenue sharing. That has boosted up everybody's pay almost double. That's why you've seen such a jump with pay for play. Let's just call it what it is.
Right now, there are no rules around how name, image, and likeness works. And for your audience, that's the opportunity for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness.
So again, I'm fine with him at number 3. I'm going to move that around a little bit. All right, number 2, DJ Lagway. It's hard to put him as number 2 for obvious reasons. He was injured for a lot of the season. He played really second fiddle behind Graham Mertz there the first 5 or 6 games, but he's flashing. He's definitely flashing. He can run when he doesn't have a hamstring problem. He's going to be tough. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks at some point. And when I re-rank this, you'll see that. And number 1, they've got Garrett Nussmeier. Great arm, fantastic arm. Not really a running quarterback. I want a running quarterback. I'd be happier with Lenoris, DJ, and Nico as running quarterbacks than I would necessarily Garrett. But he is a great thrower of the ball, very accurate. Basically, another coach out there on the field. So they've got him at number 1. What I would do with this, if we're going to keep Garrett at number 1, which I have a tough time doing that, but given the fact that a lot of these guys are fairly new, I see why they did it. I would take the number 2 spot and I would put DJ, Lenoris, and Nico tied for second. That's where I would go, and just 2A, 2B, 2C, because we're going to see a lot out of them. One's going to be a true sophomore. The other 2 are going to be redshirt sophomores, and you're going to see a lot out of all 3 of those guys. And then Arch is going to be his first year, so I'd probably put him right behind those guys at number 5. And then the rest I'm okay with. Diego, the next guy. So that's what I would do. But this is a good list. And if you want to read this article, be sure to check this out. Again, it's my way too early ranking of the SEC top 10 quarterbacks by Conan O'Gara. And that is Saturday Down South. Anyway, thought this would be fun. I always enjoy doing the way too early top 10s. They're fun to go over and talk about. Stay there, microphone. Anyway, again, I'll have more time to do videos in the future. Had to take care of some business. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's remember to continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. Will not cost you one dime. Pretty good deal. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on the algorithm. The algorithm controls everything. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.